Beyond all imagination, another title given to me in the moment as I was watching my own soul's vision of love. So let's talk about the nature of imagination and what does it bring us in this vision of Channel for the Soul Live. Okay, so the vision of imagination or beyond all imagination is where soul embodiment often can lead us to this place of, I don't even know what's real or not. Some things can feel like you're living in two different realities, and it's not meant to scare people, but it's basically the wonder of like you and your whole heart coming through, right? People will say, oh, that's just your imagination. It's more than that. That's part of the process of it. Can you actually imagine yourself beautiful, loving, kind, generous, wise? That's where you usually go in those visions of love when you embody your soul, right? Not all souls are here to do that kind of work, okay? But in essence, it's the beauty of a soul that would say, I want to have my own honoring of my heart in this moment. Now, others were going to come across with a specific name about someone who is on the screen at some point in time. They are not all here in the moment, but your souls will always know where you are on your path of love, your journeys of wonder and amazement. Because how many people look at their lives and go, I lived a great life? How many of us need a second chance or a fifth? Right? How many of us are like looking at our lives like chapters in a book? Okay. So that's the nature I create with every author that I read. And I happen to find one in particular that I'm reading now who is literally experiencing the vision of, some would say channel, but in essence, that was her vision of it. And it is a fiction novel written about a character who is going through the process of, well, you could call it embodiment of her own soul, but it is a vision of multiple levels of understanding of lives from the past coming forward to present itself to us. So the idea of reincarnation is one of those aspects that many are hanging their hat on, and we want to honor your visions of it because it's a very strong, destination for many to think, oh, I've been living all these past lives. They are still there creating in essence. That's the nature of the understanding of reincarnation unwound for those of us who live in the vision of my life unfolds in many dimensions in the moment. I'm not here as a dimensional being, but I can be if I need to. It is guaranteed that those souls who understand their visions of love will always be honored, but I can't go beyond the understanding that we often have different understandings of spiritual enlightenment versus the religious enlightenment, right? There's a lot of crossover, and I challenge a lot of people in those mindsets because of the visions that I've had to go through to embody my own soul. That's the nature of most of the videos. You're going to see it from a perspective of soul embodiment, correct? Not even close. Do I embody the vision of my friend and loved one who is in the vision of health or ill health? What can I do to bring about those visions of I'm living my life day by day? That's where some are. Okay. And in essence, what we would say is those visions of struggle are what take us out of the mindset of my life is a miracle in the making. That's my vision for me. I feel like my life comes to me in spades. Does it mean you are required to, amend your vision? Right? Some people will say, I have accepted the lot in my life or my lot in life. I'm accepting of the fact that I am no longer in the beauty of what? Soul as Brenda. That's the nature of light. It is part of the process. I bring through those visions in essence from outer soul level understanding, which means it's not necessarily from my own soul. And we imbibe on that beauty of it. It does not mean that I have to bring their energy in fully. My soul is always with me as an embodied soul. That's why I don't take on the characteristics like others would. I don't have to go into a deep trance. I walk with my soul as a guide for all souls. That means I'm the, well, I don't ever say those words anymore because so many people are like, she's going to get banned off of YouTube if she uses, bad language or whatever. And so I'm going to filter those words that others would come through with because, in essence, it is. I've got children around and whatnot, but you're strong. So those of you who are in that mindset of I need to be very strong in my words and in my soul to get through to people, I don't expect everyone to go through the process of soul embodiment. It is not for everybody at this point in time. It is where you want to head. If you want to go down that path, I can guide you to that vision of where does your soul lead you in that moment. Maybe it is not meant for you in this moment. Okay, because if you've got a lot of struggle going on, it could be the thing that you want. It could be the thing you want. I went through some hellish realms in my mind, and luckily for me, my soul was already there with me, walking me through the process. This is what often happens to those souls who feel like they've got to raise their energy level up to some, understanding that's beyond most. This is not about just, channeling the vision of one healer. You go to that place of love for your soul comes through for you in the moment, every day, it's like you won't suffer, right? That's not exactly true. It depends on what you're creating for yourself with your soul. Okay. Most people want to know, what does that mean? Well, I still get certain aspects of my heart who are trying to challenge my physical expression. Okay, my physical expression, how I portray myself in the beauty of who I am, can get challenged. So society will look at me and say, there's something wrong with your face, right? If I have a rash or something. So I have a guide who can come in and literally give me a rash on the spot. What does that say to you about who I am as a guide? I challenge those souls and I say, I don't think so. So that's the nature of it. When you're opening up to the nature of all, others will say, oh, you didn't protect yourself. I don't go down that route. I don't need the protection like others think that they do. If you're in the mindset of I need protection, then by all means, imbibe on the beautiful aspects of it then. The fun things, the crystals and the gems and the, scents, and I even used, these like chimes. What do they call those? I can't even remember. But anyways, the vibrational tones of angels. I could bring those visions in. That's the nature of a guide. In essence, I want to say you're guided by your hearts always. Whether you believe it or not is another story. Okay, and that's the nature of it. A lot of what I say, people will go, that doesn't make sense. I try my hardest in my mind to create this beautiful expression of love. I just don't give a blank about what I look like anymore. That's where a lot of us have to go. See, look about, and we can't discount the beauty of those who happen to be fashion plate models or whatnot in their 50s or 60s or 80s, right? How many of them are doing all kinds of treatments and whatnot, nip here, tuck there, and there's no judgment in that vision, but is that the standard that we're going to try and set for ourselves in this vision? I do more for my body now than I did in 20 years, okay? That allowed me the freedom of movement when I was with my children on trips that I didn't have previously, was able to run upstairs with them in Yellowstone. That's my expression of beauty. However, for those of you on the screen, at some point you're going to say, so what is it about the imagination that we need to kind of focus in on? Imagination is only limited, by your own visions. Where do you think a lot of these visions of science fiction that become reality come into our awareness? It takes time for a collective vision to come to the public, arena, right? Not all of that comes through. It depends on what's happening on the upper echelons of soul. Let's put it that way. Okay, so there is, in essence, other visions of beings who have the heartbeat of the globe as their watchdog. Okay, that's the nature of many here. We are trying to be the watchdogs of the globe. So, in essence, I'm going to say that beautiful vision of love is very much in her heart. Okay, so I watch out for the souls here as well as those on the other side. In essence, not really. I usually aim for those souls here to have the visions of their love brought down to this vision. When you go to soul embodiment, your vision is, I'm going to lift off enough of the conditioning, enough of the vibration of density to reach my soul, right? I brought my soul in. And we all do. We're all here. We're all souls. But there's more aspects of us. And part of my vision for me as a child even was I was going to guide, others in various ways relating to, heart. And my mind is part of it. How many people say, I don't understand how come she's feeling the heart energy and yet her words hurt my mind? I'm telling you, I've been down the path of soul embodiment. There are others who will go to the idea of I'm going to embody someone else's soul first before I go to the next round. Okay, so it's not about saying if you want to embody somebody else's soul, that's another vision. And I can honor that. I understand why I got my butt handed to me up and down because of some things that I created in the spiritual paradigms. I fight for those of the religious paradigms as well, but I also will rise into a different level of understanding. I had to vibrate out of it because of the majority of the conditioning behind that would label me as something less than beautiful. And everyone knows that. So it's no surprise. It wouldn't be a surprise to most people to understand why I might say, that's not my cup of tea. I can see the beauty of it. I happen to love the churches of the world. Okay, I see the beauty of the visions of trying to lift people up, helping, reaching out to our neighbors and our loved ones and saying, thank you for your love. I may not agree with how you do your work, right? That's how some people will look at it because they'll say, why can't you say the names of those that are on the screen? I don't want to do that vision. Okay. I will at some point. I've done it in the past. But at this point, we want to talk about the nature of beyond all imagination. And that's the vision that I hold for my heart and my soul. So all of these are not going to be the celebrity readings or authors that could come through. I am releasing more and more of the videos. There's a lot of work involved in what I do. So I'm not always going to give everyone one or two questions. You throw it out there, it might get answered. Okay? It will not always be in the moment. It might be down the road. Okay? So that's the nature of love. Okay, so my first answer to a question about chili cook-off souls is that if you are in the vision of I love those visions, but I can't go, I would say you should think about the vision of we're almost all getting our vaccines, correct? Not all of us. Not all of us can. We're not judging. There's no judgment when you go to the level of soul. But our vision is, if we're outside and we're not partaking in the vision of, am I, creating more havoc for that soul, you're being honored by your family trees. Many people are. Okay, the family tree dynamic that many hold in esteem can be very much a struggle for certain souls if they now know my family's on the other side creating beauty for themselves, right? How much time does our family tree spend creating for me here versus their own visions of where they are in the moment? See, we always assume, are they just sitting there waiting for me? If you communicate, this is the nature of the telepathic neuroscientific communication of energy. Okay, so I can go to various levels of understanding. It's still unwinding. My soul can bring me the vision of past in a way, but for the most part, I love laying those visions of future down that are very strong for the miracles that are needed in certain people's minds. And we're going to say we're going to bless those souls in that moment with the vision of, open your hearts to the nature of it. It may indeed bless you with that vision of miracles, because that's what's being called upon in Brenda's mind. Okay, the miracle is what she experienced in her life by doing the work that she did as a child and as an adult. It took her years to get it through her mind that she was not like other people and other guides. And that was the destruction of many people's ideas, is they assume that soul embodiment means you're always aiming for a higher vision of love other than your own, which puts you in the position of less than, right? So the souls that would come through for me as a channel and under the umbrella of guidance are always those souls that are very strong in who they are, very fierce in their visions. I will not bow down to any soul. That is my vision. I will not go into anyone's vision as a soul or as her. Well, I will bow down to those of Jesus, right? That's other souls. If I embodied those visions, then I would be doing their visions. For me, I know that there is a subservience to that vision that I don't allow myself to go to. It's not about dishonoring the vision. I know most people are doing it as a sacred, service to their higher visions of love, as a psychological construct that I was conditioned with in my schooling. I know that that is a subconscious signal of subservience and lower than. And that's the nature. It could be a lower than understanding, right? So you can take it however you want it. But for me, I don't put myself in a vision of lower than. That's why a lot of people will see the strength come through in various videos. Okay. Now, for those of you who want to hear from Charlie Sheen, is another soul that is very much thought of as it's like a loose cannon with his mindset, his visions of who he was as a soul, his volumes of data he said he could give you on the wild times of a certain other soul. This is not the tell-all, okay, but in essence, his vision as a soul who is still here creating would say, I am friends of friends who know who this woman is in her mind connecting to in certain instances. That vision is strength. Don't let go of your heart when you know what you know. So others who have watched other episodes know that there are connections we have with other souls on this plane. I connect with those souls that are still living. It is never always about those who have passed. It is about us understanding. We just go to other levels of understanding. If you're in the nature of heaven is already in the mindset of multidimension, okay? So for those of science, I do not disregard those as well. Science is opening up to the nature of the consciousness and energy work that we are all imbibing on in this moment. It is beautiful. I don't deny science. My own family comes from that vision in many ways. Okay, it's why the vision of love was brought through for those who are still in the mindset of I must wear my mask when I go to the cook-off. Okay, still believing in that vision of judgment from their soul. It is not judgment, it will always be of guidance. So for my own heart, I will say there is a friend of mine who is not going to partake in that cook-off because in essence, most people will be tasting food, right? As long as there's the distance, that's where most people are in their mindset. We want to allow that soul to come through and say, I would advise many to make sure they keep the distance from those other visions of who is feeding me at this point, right? It's not that bad. The majority of people are very much cautious in their habits when it comes to public dining. We still want others to abide by the visions of love for all souls. Take caution in your daily lives. That's still the vision from soul level understanding. And most people know when I come through with a vision from higher level, it's bound to happen. Okay? The nature of soul will say, honor the visions of love, no matter who they are. Even if you come across people who are like, I'm protected, I am protected by my soul, and I still wear the mask, and I still do the distancing. I partake in the dining, but I take precautions, not just for me, but for my loved ones around me. Okay. Now, in essence, the imagination, it's still there. Charlie Sheen is very much in line trying to get his vision through of he's he's having a hard time of it as of late in his mind. And others would say that's no surprise. His success comes and goes with age, right? I was looked at as a loser by some because of how I treated my friends, my family, and my acquaintances. And he's like, I don't deserve that title. I have a heart as well. Okay. Just because I don't act the way that others do here, that would be his soul coming through, does not mean that I am less than anybody else. Do I take control of my life and say I have to express the weight that I'm about to put on? Right? He's like, I don't really have to do that vision very much because I used to do other things to balance that vision out. I know what I know about weight loss, and I know that many who are in that vision of a quick fix to get rid of the fat, right? That's part of his vision. So those who are in that vision of just do this or just do that, this is not about telling people, right, what they are, but these are their visions of I was mean to certain people. Okay? That's the nature of it. Okay? I was mean to those souls who didn't look a certain way because of my expectations of who I was and who I could be with. However, when it comes to my own vision of who I am, and when I come to my realization that my struggles are just as strong in other areas, I start to have a little bit more compassion for those souls who are struggled in their minds, right? Is it not obvious that on a soul level, a soul would come through and say, stop guarding the words? He's the one of those bad ones, right? The soul level understanding is saying, yeah, they know that vision. Okay, the bad boys of rock can come through. The bad boys of Hollywood can come through. They are not in the mindset of men, right? That's what a lot of women are saying, but there are plenty of females out there saying, ooh, I love that vision of the one that's going to give me, the good times. Good time Charlie, right? That's what they called him. Good time Charlie. He's in that vision of it. I don't have to create with a vision of love, right? How many people assume people don't have love in their hearts when they're with people, even for small amounts of time? It is not to be judged by the standards that we have set here in this country or in this planet. Various levels of understanding are going to say we unwind the vision of religion and that idea of I can't get divorced or I have to get married before I'm to be with somebody. Most of us in this vision here in this society are not necessarily partaking in that vision. How many people want to know about that vision from a soul level? She hears visions of these souls coming to her sometimes, telling her where she is in her mindset when it comes to her body. And she has to fight. She's a fighter for the females, I'll tell you that. So, but his vision is she's strong, she's guided, and she lets go of her soul's vision of I'm all that and more sometimes. But in the majority of the visions of love from Charlie, he would say, I would have no problem sitting down with this lady and letting her come through with my family tree. They expect to hear the visions of love. Others expect to hear the visions of judgment. Which one is it, Brenda? Do we get to have the love of our family tree, or do they come down and tell us what they experienced? That's the nature of a medium, and we want to say we honor those visions because they're beautiful. However, if I was to go to the nature of his love for his soul, he would say, my soul's going to rock, isn't it? And Brenda would say, you're most likely going to have a really good session because your soul is on your side. Your family tree may not. They have their own issues to work out, most likely, right? A lot of those visions of love from that level of understanding are about let's work it out now. Let's go visit, the heavenly realms. Let's see what we can do to unwind that tragedy that we had to deal with in our life. And then we can create a beautiful place, not only here, but on the other side of the veil. That's one level of understanding of it. Most people want to know, what does the heavenly realms feel like when you go there with your family tree? I see people in this society on the other side of the veil. And then I see it play out in various ways. Sometimes, not always, because I in the news. Not all, and that's the reality that I live in. And that's why it's beyond all imagination. People are like, what do you mean? Most people know that they are doing those visions of, others will call it various things, but it's not always a pleasant experience depending on, what those seeds are that you're planting. You don't want to just go, woo, I get to go be with celebrity. Who would want to do that? Right? Others are like, no, I'm planting my seeds for a protective soul session where I don't have to hear from my family tree. Some people don't want to hear from their family trees. I'm one of those people for the most part. I'm like, I got it. We're good. We did good. I'm fine. You're fine. You had your life. I had mine. I loved you. I missed who you were here. But, no problemo. I want my soul, my family tree is an aspect of it, but I want my higher visions of who I am to come through for me. That's the beauty of soul. Okay. And when you do that, then you start to hear those visions of who you are in your past. And some of them are not pleasant. And some of them are funny. And some of them are amazing because I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about that. They bring you a lot of those memories of like random experiences or people. And then you know that it's coming to you and you're like, oh my gosh, yay, I get it, right? They're here, they're bringing me my life now. I don't have to do it when I'm on the other side. I can just keep creating beauty. And in essence, sometimes I create it not so good, and I do have my issues. But when you go to that vision of, I love who I am, no matter what, I don't care if I don't feel good in my mind, I love who I am. I don't care if people love me or hate me. That's their choice. That's the place you want to be. Because in essence, most of us are still living under the umbrella of, conditioning from other sources of information that is there as I'm going to guide you to the place of feeling good. That's fine. But a lot of it is too, ooh, I'm doing bad. Oh my gosh, I feel guilty. I shouldn't be doing this and that and whatnot. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. It can if you set yourself up for it. People are in that place now where a lot of us say, I don't want to end up in prison. That's me. So I'm going to follow a lot of those societal laws. As a guide, I would say, don't mess with her vision of Jesus. She knows that man personally. That's what... Okay, others are going to say, I embodied the vision of Jesus as a soul. People will see those episodes. That's me bringing through the soul's vision of that soul. And it is a very loving, caring, incredibly... So others will say, I dishonor that vision. It's not. It's just, I'm here. I'm pro-soul, but I'm very much here to guide a lot of those souls to their own hearts. Because in essence, we already know that the vision of Jesus is of, I'm your protector and I'm going to, bring you those visions of love. Beautiful. Do you want to know what's going to happen tomorrow? Because that's what my soul will tell me. Or next week. Or next year. I'm still planting the seeds. I get told where I'm planting my seeds. I get a great 2022 for my career boost. Okay. And that's the nature of it. If Jesus is going to come through and start telling you those beautiful words of wisdom, or if you're like, no, I just need to be able to, live out the rest of my life in this vision, right? I get told when I need to drink more water. I get told, and it's not sometimes I do get very strong visions brought to me and they will literally get my attention. That's my vision of light. Charlie Sheen would say, oh, I am all that and more, and I'm beautiful, and I don't give a blank about who it is that says anything about me. I just write it out. Whatever wave of, understanding comes my way, I just say, whatever, I'm good. This is who I am. I'm Charlie Sheen. That's his vision. He knows he's the bee's knees. That's a popular expression among those visions of, I've got it all figured out. They think they have it all figured out. They don't know blank about what they're doing, though. Because in essence, they all think that they're just going to go rise into this level of understanding. And they may do that, depending on where they place themselves in their minds. Did they unwind enough of their vision to explain to their loved ones why they choose not to do the vision of a Jewish soul versus someone else's? Okay, I'm open source. Most of the souls that are here are either in that vision of, I believe in a God-like soul, or I'm of Christ, right? Or Jesus. There's differences in those visions, believe it or not, depending on where you rise up into your vision of love. I also go to the nature of Islam for those who need that vision. I very much honor all those souls, the Buddha, whatnot, that people create with. That's the strength of all. You don't dishonor the visions of those. I will call out souls on the carpet in my mind when I get handed information here. That's the nature of me as a soul. But Charlie's still he's still vision questing with me, wanting to know, why don't you bring out his information and he might come see you sometime. His vision is he's going to be lost in his mind if he goes to soul embodiment. So he knows he can't do that vision. And so he's saying, I would rather have a session where you come through and guide me through that process of how do I heal my heart. Now her heart is experiencing the vision of warmth, because in essence that's the message, is the love is there for him in his mind, in his soul, and he's saying, I might be struggled in my mind, but my heart's still pure. That's where we all are. Okay, so our minds may be made up about where we are in our hearts, but we are very much fluid in our understanding about love, because love is not always black and white, right? Or colorblind. Love is colorblind in essence, as it should be. When you go to soul level, it's very much, people create all kinds of stuff depending on where you're creating from. But in essence, that vision is, we don't align with those souls in essence that still try to carry on this vision like there's a division in love in other realms. It's not a division, it's an understanding of groupings of souls and how we create. Okay? And many are interested in that vision and say, well, who am I creating with? Your soul vibrates with those souls that you read, that you watch on TV, right? Not even close to the souls that create with their family trees and their loved ones and the people that you come across in your experience of life. Okay, so just because you read a book about a certain soul or a pamphlet doesn't mean you're going to just automatically connect with their hearts. I happen to in many ways, and I start getting their information. Watch The Empath Dilemma for those of you who are in the struggle of that. And you'll also get a little bit more of the understanding of, I am open to the nature of all. And I still don't hear those visions. That's where some people are. Like, I accept them. But if you are planting the seeds of it is only one way or another, that might limit your vision to only those souls. Do you hold resentment towards other visions? So for me, I still have my own struggles with people that I see on the screen, right? Sure. But I'm open to their vision. I still see us all here as children. I'm almost at the vision that those who've gone to the heavenly realms are still in those visions. They haven't taken off all their conditioning yet. You can tell the difference between that kind of vision, that's right, and the vision of those higher level visions of understanding, that they don't bullshit people. They don't just say what people expect. Okay? So I do have that vision of a soul who knows the vision of love for Sheen and his visions of I'm struggled in my mind, but he's also caretaken by so many souls, right? Is that the popularity contest that we're looking for? How many people do I have to apologize to? I did that vision my whole life. I try to do the best by all souls. That's one of the reasons why I'm here. It doesn't mean it always aligns with my own value system. And that's the tricky part. You have to be able to let go of your own ideas in your mind, where that vision can come through for them and they say, I love you. And you would say, I love you back, even if they hurt you as a soul. Now, I want to honor those visions of division that a lot of us hold here. It doesn't mean you have to sit there and do that work. I don't have to say I love you out loud to people. I used to do it a lot more. I do it to my friends and certain family members because I know a lot of people aren't comfortable with that vision. His soul says, I love it when the women come up to me and say, I love you. But they have no idea what destructive visions I would be holding for them in the mindset. Guess who gets to hear those visions? It's not all fairy tales when you go to that vision of I am creating with all, and I can start to get those visions brought to me. My soul gives me what I need. And if I come across a soul who starts putting me down as her, she awakens from that vision of charity work. I used to say, I'm going to give people free sessions. I don't do that anymore. Because what happens is those souls then start to come to me and it's like they keep thinking they're going to get more and more and more and more. And I'm not talking about the people here on this, I'm talking about the actual souls. And I start to hear more and more of their visions. Sometimes it's beautiful and sometimes it's not. Okay? And I have to do a lot of work. But at this point, let's think about Charlie's vision. He says, if I don't show up in the next 3 to 6 years, because that's how far out I am with his soul, 3 to 6 years. It depends on the visions that I plant in the next 10 to 20 weeks. Okay, because I have a lot of stuff coming on in the next 10 to 20 weeks. And those visions can or they can take off. Okay, certain visions of I'm predicting future are strong. Others are still in that moment of, do we want to go there with Brenda? Do we want to go there with that kind of soul work? Okay. Her vision of future can be very destructive if you are one of those souls that are reading the news, right? I am not creating that vision. But I do plant the seeds for the unwinding of a lot of our conditioned beliefs. The vision is very strong, but it's also very loving. Future is not always bad. Future is very much wise. That's where the wise ones come in. Okay? Because they know what needs to be released. If it's coming to me, it is because it's needing to be put out there. Okay? Archangel Michael is another vision of love that would like to make an appearance in this vision, honoring the hearts and minds of all those souls that say, I'm not it's like I'm not alive. I don't feel like I'm alive in the vision of soul embodiment. I wouldn't be feeling alive. I'd be feeling like I was destroyed by my visions of who I am in this vision. It doesn't mean you lose who you are. Don't associate who I am as a guide. Archangel Michael can be embodied, right? If you're a channel and you bring that through, are you indeed embodying the vision, or are you just bringing through the vision? That's usually your soul bringing through the visions for you. That's the nature of it. You want to go that path because most people don't want to just channel one soul, right? That's why some people will only channel certain visions. They will not take anything less than the highest of the high, right? Without understanding that there are lessons to be learned from all of us here. We're guiding each other here. This is also letting others know, right? The power in the visions that we have here and how they play out in other realities. That's where it gets a little tricky for a lot of people to start to understand. What do I do here that affects me on another plane? Or what am I being shown in another plane, and does it come back to me? And that's the beauty of love. When your soul brings it to you in the vision of love, it just comes through. I had no visions of Charlie Sheen or anything like that, and that vision just popped through. That's the nature of it, okay? And that's probably because of where I am in my own mindset with the vision of I rise and fall with the love of, my soulmate, one of my soulmates. Now, engineering degrees are going to be needed for Sean's family tree in the future. And that vision is saying there is a strong, strong, strong chance that one of his sons is talented but is not able to embrace that vision of strength in the moment. He's not able to bring forth that vision of, I have got it, I just need to unleash it. That's the nature of it. Okay? That's the nature of unleashing those visions. I had it and I didn't bring it through. I could have done that vision very easily, right? This is the nature of the guidance of souls of love. It is not necessarily them as they were, obviously, right? But his own vision is, I'm struggled. I want more guides. How many people say, I want more people's visions coming through? Okay, that's the nature of it. Okay, where you can start to bring through more and more of those visions. Others will say, that's a mediumship. Not necessarily. If I'm bringing through the vision of those higher level of understanding, I don't hear the visions, I just speak it. Okay. But it's that level of understanding that people are, kind of identifying with, you know. It's one thing, I do get that, by the way, but I'm embodied by my soul. But I do hear those visions, they get brought to me, and sometimes it's annoying as heck, and I'm like, I don't want to deal with you. And other times, those visions are his soul is saying, greet them at the door. I will be bringing more and more people into my own home. At some point, I also have created a realm of my own in essence, where I envision my love and I greet my soulmates on the other side. So I get handed visions of those souls that I create with in a special place that I have closed the door on a lot of souls. Let's put it that way. So, in essence, that's where people will start to understand a lot of shows are showing a lot of stuff, and people think, oh, that looks really cool. Trust me, if you go through energy work, it may not be what you're looking for. You think, oh, that looks fun. Do you always get to choose who's showing up at your door? Not always. So you might want to think about that a little bit, right? Because in this mindset, would you want to be just meeting someone on the street and then before you know it, you're creating, a relationship on the other side? It's part of that soul. It can happen, right? A lot of people do, but if you're not in that mindset here and you find yourself in that mindset over there, that's when you're going to create the disparity between the visions of, oh, I might need to, kind of reevaluate my vision about soul embodiment, right? No, it's just that's the nature of doing the work here versus waiting until you go to the other side. Basically, there's part of it. There's more than that. Okay, because there's a lot of us who are just in that vision. It's not about guidance, so it's a little bit trickier for me. But the guides would say, let it loose. He's vanishing on the screen. He doesn't see himself playing many roles anymore. Not even close. In his mind, he's like, they don't respect me anymore. I did too much damage in my family and in my heart. And now I'm not looked at as a reliable, source of wisdom for many. I'm not looked at as a reliable vision of love for a lot. I get my handed to me left and right because of my honest assessment of who they are. I don't vibrate in the beauty of who I am as much as I used to because of where my mind is. And in my moments of love for myself, I still struggle. And that's why we want to honor his vision. His soul saying, our struggles are real, whether we have it all made or not, according to the visions of many. Okay, we all struggle. We all have our life issues, and we all could deal with a little bit of love from the soul level. Wherever you reside, your soul will come through and say, believe it or not, is another beautiful vision for it's like the fourth dimension That's the nature of time. So when I say that time is of no consequence, I create with my soulmate all the time. I have 3 or 4 of them that I tend to work with, and others fall by the wayside. Okay? I'm not here to do the vision of the empath soul as much as I am to allow his soul to grieve. Okay? So that soul is grieving because, in essence, he's like, why would I want to be, having a session with someone who's going to tell me what I already know? Oh, no, you have no idea. That man is still in that vision of beauty and anger for certain things that have happened in his heart. And he's still creating beauty for her as well in the moment. So in this moment, his vision is, would my soul tell me I'm loved? See, that's the nature of religion, right? We're always loved. It's a spiritual mind. It's all of us. That's soul. We are. Whether or not we feel it or not is a whole different story. Am I making it up in my mind? No, I am not. You'd be surprised what level of understanding souls come through very strong. People are going to think that's who they were there. You don't always know what level of soul you're going to be getting, right? I don't go to the family trees for the most part. I go to my own vision of who I am as soul, and I rise above the vision of love for family trees, even. Okay? That's one system of love for me. It's almost like its own system, right? Because it's so hard for us to disconnect from the reality of, well, of course my family loves me. And yet, what am I getting told? I will get told certain things. Our families do indeed watch out for us. But are they going to give us the skinny on what we really need? Okay, that's what we have to start to understand. There are plenty of sources of information, but when they bring through your future, that's when you know you've hit on a good deal because it gets validated for you. Always ask for the validations. Left and right, I get them. Okay, and sometimes they're very, very small, but they're beautiful and they let you know you're still on the path of soul embodiment and soul love. Okay, I could go to those higher vibrational beings of, well, we call them the guardians, the galaxy in essence, but those are being played out in other realms at this point. So I want to honor your hearts, your souls, your minds, and say thank you so much for your love and wisdom, because we are all here guiding each other in this realm we call Earth. Right? It's almost like it's beautiful just by the fact that we all create with it. And that's the nature of it. That's why, in essence, all souls are part of the puzzle. We're all pieces of the beautiful puzzle and how we create in this vision of it. But it's all there. It's not just us. And that's the point of it. You start to experience the beauty of other realms, and then it blows your mind. So take heart. If you didn't get what you wanted in this session, just enjoy the vision of love. Take it for what it's worth. You're guiding your hearts to a love for your souls as much as anybody else's, right? They do acknowledge all souls who come through. So take heed. You're going to be watching more and more of the love come through in the vision of light. Okay, that's the nature of those videos that can trigger people. Be aware of it though, okay? Doesn't mean you have to watch it. Doesn't mean you need to be, partaking in it or doing anything different. Your own soul may tell you something different based on your own visions for who you are and for your soul's growth. So take care and have a beautiful, beautiful day.